What is up, everybody? Welcome to Ask Me Anything. On this Wednesday, the first Wednesday in June, second Wednesday in June, something like that. That's close enough. So we are without Chris. Chris is off gallivanting across the world today, so it is just the three of us. And so the other side of it is we have no submitted questions. So if you guys have any questions with us, please make sure to put them in the chat. We'll keep a look at it. And without further ado, let's go into our little video here. I promise I'll play the right one tonight. There you are. What? Yeah, so that went well. All right. For some reason, when I click it, it's like, browser won't play video. Go figure. That's all right. We're here. We're working. We're making it work. Hey, everyone.
The tech guy.
Oh, you know, right? We're just going to say it's the Chris Voodoo vibe. I don't know what's going on. He has some leftover, whatever it is. That sounds good. Oh, hey, cool. Questions. Good. Yes. Welcome, everyone, to Ask Me Anything, where we pretty much literally will answer just about any question that you want to ask us. Anything that you'd like to ask us this evening that we have some level of expertise on, we're willing to answer for you tonight. We don't really, normally we have some pre-submitted questions, and we usually have, at least one or two. This week we do not. So we're going to really rely a lot on you folks and on our Facebook pages to see if there is some questions that we can answer this evening. Again, in your comments, feel free to enter whatever you'd like questions-wise, and we will try to answer them the best you can. But let's start off with Tracy, because I think that's a really, really good question. So let's see. Tracy asks, can a whole life policy be put on my son and me as the owner? Great answer. Great question. Yep, you absolutely can. Even so, if your son is a minor or if they aren't, you still can put it on. You can have a separate insured and a separate owner. So yes, that is absolutely possible to do. And it's actually more common than you'd think to have a life insurance policy on somebody who is not you, because there's three parts to all of the life insurance policies. There's the insured, the body that the insurance is on. There is the owner, the person who has control over the policy, and the beneficiary who gets the death benefit afterwards. So they can be different people as well. So yeah,
and I'd like to add to that too, because I know people like to say, well, what if somebody doesn't qualify for life insurance? And that's a perfect example. If you have somebody that you have a vested interest in, a child, spouse, even parent, you can have policies on them if you are not qualified for a policy medically or for some reason that you won't qualify for a policy. You can still own a policy on somebody else, and that's a perfect example, owning a policy on a child. So don't qualify for life insurance, you can still have access to infinite banking policies through using somebody else as your insured person.
When we talk about banks owning bank insurance policies, that's what they do. Is the bank is the owner of the policy. The insured is whatever executive it is. There has to be some insurable interest, and that's the other way to do it as well. Now, Tracy's got a follow-up question here about, is that because he's younger and in better health? There's a few different reasons why. If you wanted to put a policy on your minor son, we design them a little bit differently. So it depends on how old he is, depending on kind of the, whether or not there's health questions or things like that. They generally figure if somebody's under 18, they're going to be in decent health. The policies we design are a little bit different, may not get quite as much cash value in the first year, but long-term, they really perform well. So there's a whole bunch of things, but is it younger, better health?
Yeah, I mean, so it depends on how young the son is, right? So if it's a minor, they're going to base the amount of qualification that you can put on him. It's going to be based on how much death benefit you have, his parents have. So you and the father have. So if you don't have any life insurance at all, then they might not even approve the child at all. Like, they're going to want you to get a life insurance first, unless you are declined and have a reason why you don't already have life insurance on yourself. But so we're limited on how much you can deposit into a policy on minors. Now, if they're older than like 18, 19, 20 in college or something like that, then you're also going to be limited because now they're going to look at what their life is worth. And if they're just starting in life, like getting their first job and they don't own many assets or a home or anything like that yet, then he's 34. So this is kind of, but just to continue, then they're going to limit how much you can put in. So you might be able to do 5,000 a year or something like that. So if you're looking at like 50,000 a year, that wouldn't be feasible. So if he's 34, that's fine. I mean, quite honestly though, we build these policies for banking purposes. So a 58-year-old and a 34-year-old, assuming the health is the same, the numbers aren't going to look too much different. Yeah, the 34-year-old might have a little bit percentage-wise more cash value, something like that. But the 58-year-old might be able to put more money in, and that actually ends up being a better policy. So the age isn't as important as maybe the health is, and really none of it's all that important. Now the death benefit might be different. Now 34-year-old is going to have a lot more death benefit than a 58-year-old, but as far as like the cash value, using it for banking, they're going to be pretty similar there. So Tracy, I wouldn't say that the reason to use your son is strictly because he's younger and maybe in better health. I would want to talk with you and find out, what is your overall goal? What do you currently already have on yourself? And what are you looking to accomplish? And then we can talk about what the best route is to go from there. Does that help?
Yeah, because at some degree too, you want to explore, if you don't have life insurance already, do you want that legacy piece? If something were to happen to you, that death benefit would be paid out to your family. So if you don't have that and that's important to you, then I definitely would like to explore putting the policy on you first.
I guess that leads to a really good statement too, though, that all of our policies are designed for your specific independent needs. So it's not like we have a one size fits all. We just put a rubber stamp in here. Yes, this is the one policy that we do. Each one's done a little bit differently depending on what you need. So the best thing to do is have a chat with us about your specific needs. We can go through a bunch of information that helps us to make the best decision for you, and come up with a policy that works the best.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
She did schedule a call for tomorrow, so that's great.
Awesome.
Yay.
Cool.
Julianne?
Okay, I'll read Julianne. Okay, she says, I have a 457,000 or 457K for my work. I separate soon. I already have my Roth self-directed account set up and plan to roll it over. I plan to use 10,000 of this to go toward my paid-up addition. Number one, should she pull the money out separate and withhold taxes and put it in her policy, or two, roll it all over to her Roth, then remove it and put it in a policy? Is there a better advantage to either?
Pull the money out separate and withdraw taxes and put it in my policy, roll it all over to my Roth, then remove it and put it in the policy. No, if you're going to withdraw it, just withdraw it. Don't transfer it first. There's no reason to move it to a Roth or anything like that first. Yeah, there's no advantage either way right there. And real fast, Dexter, is that Sid? Just say yes or no if that's Sid. I'm just curious. But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, Julianne, I mean, there's no, it's not going to make a difference either way if you roll it to the Roth first or just withdraw it straight out. So just withdraw it straight out.
Well, we're waiting. Oh yeah.
I'm already talking to him.
To that. Okay. Mike, how do you get a ticket for your son in addition to yourself for the July event? You just go on and buy a second ticket, and I mean, there's no seat assignments or anything. You just buy the same ticket, and we can get you both in. So just go to the same link you purchased for yours, and I'm sure Stephen or Andrew, one of you, can put that link up because I can't. So.
Yeah, I can do that. And Andrew, that real fast on the comment from Dexter about his buddy Sid. Actually, I'm going to be in touch with you about that because talking with him, it gave me a really good idea for a really cool case study that we can do. But I'm going to need your help a little bit on the spreadsheet side to put that together. But yeah, Dexter, we're going to do something really cool that I think will finally make Sid see the light, because apparently he's been around for a year talking to everybody on the team.
My spreadsheet's bigger than your spreadsheet.
Yeah. That I can imagine after having a conversation, half an hour conversation with him yesterday, Dexter. I can only imagine what that spreadsheet looks like. Seems like a good guy though, for sure.
Mike, I don't know how many VIP tickets are left. I haven't checked today, but last I knew there were still at least 10 or 11 left, as far as I know, or maybe more than that. I'm not really sure, but you still have room, so you can get a VIP right now.
Cool.
I do want to touch on a question that seems really silly to us, but a lot of people ask it. I get a lot of people who say, okay, well, I'm interested now. Who do I talk to get one started? So Stephen, do you want to answer that one?
What? So, where's the question?
No, it's just one that I get a lot from people who have done the research and just ready to start, and then they say, "Okay, who do I talk to start one of these policies?"
Yeah. I mean, that I don't know what if they're talking to you, Gabby, they should already know the answer to that. But yeah, I mean, that's what we do, right? So we create the policies, find out what works for you. We have full support to help you get approved for the policy. It is whole life insurance, so there's full medical underwriting and everything else involved. We have our full support team once it is approved and you put it in force and you start banking. We have a team called our mapping team that works with you to teach you how to use it, teaches you banking principles, creates, if you watch like the 90-minute video, the debt map or the plan on how to buy a car and recapture all the money or other purchases. So, we literally every step from the very beginning of teaching you the concept to designing the policy and helping you get started with it and on ongoing support for years to come. And we don't charge for any of that. So, you never pay us a dime for any of those services and any of that support. So that's, we love to help out. So if anybody wants to talk, just reach out to our team, get a call scheduled, and we'll go from there.
Just realized that my microphone decided to die on me midway through here, but you guys can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to make a comment about Dexter and having the words engineer and spreadsheet in the same sentence usually gets me a little bit triggered, but it's all good.
Yeah, there's like 14, 15 VIPs left, just so you know.
Cool. Good. Wow.
All right. What other questions?
Yeah, so get in now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sifting through. Oh, here's kind of a good one. So this individual has an investment that gives them a lump sum of about 30 to 50,000 every 3 to 5 years. Looks like. What's the best way to implement IBC with this type of investment?
Say that one more time. I missed something.
Yeah, so they have a here. I'll explain a little bit more. So they have a tree farm investment.
Okay.
So they every 3 to 5 years. They get a lump sum of about $30,000 to $50,000. They're just wondering what the best way is to implement IBC with that type of investment.
Put it in a policy.
Yeah,
30,000 a year. I would say set up a policy with 30,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, if it's annual income coming in, just dump it in the policy each year when you get it, and then deploy it from there for the business.
Yeah, that's actually
it looks like it's every 3 to 5 years type of thing. So it's not like an every year consistent. But basically, what you'd be doing is you'd be finding that comfortable point where you'd be putting in a certain amount of dollars each year, and then you could draw it from that thing every time you have that lump sum that comes in. So it's not as difficult as you may think.
And if you're getting something like every 3 to 5 years, do a policy with a dump in, and then at least enough for the next 2 years that you can support it. And that's the other thing too. And then just do a new policy with a dump in. Most people have multiple policies. This isn't like a one size, there's only one policy and that's all you can get. Most people have multiple policies. So give that a try too. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We'll hop to Julianne.
Yeah. She's got another. Yeah. So I had to, I don't know when things cut out, but when I had actually looked up the 457, that's actually a retirement plan. So I don't know if withdrawing it would be a good idea, just rolling it over into a Roth. What do you think, Stephen? You're the definite expert on qualified and non-qualified funds. This was her last question. She was talking about, Julianne has a continuation question. But the previous thing we were talking about was a 457 plan. She was asking about withdrawing it.
So we're going back to the other question.
Yeah, I'm just curious about it. Just withdraw. I think we were saying withdrawing. I don't know if that's a good idea. You want to see it?
No, I see what you mean. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if she's going to withdraw the money, there's no reason to roll it to a Roth first. Just withdraw it and go.
Good point.
I mean, as for the next question, when a policy is designed, it's, when we design a policy, we're going to push it right up to that MEC limit. So if you're looking to put more in than what it was originally designed for, you're not going to be able to do that. So those paid up additions, kind of whatever that, you might be able to get a couple more dollars in, but it's not going to really make a difference. I mean, you're not going to be able to get too much more in. So that's when you're going to look at starting to open up additional policies.
The only couple of times I've been able to do this where you add in, so the MEC limit that we have is a moving target. So every year it's going to move a little bit. And usually after the third or fourth year is the first time you could make some sort of additional contribution into paid up additions. The last time I tried it, it was $400. So it's never going to be a lot of money, maybe $1,000 if you're doing really well. So what I would do in that case, though, is if you want to put more money into the policy, open a second policy. I think it goes right back into most of our folks have multiple policies. Yeah.
Cool.
So Adele, yeah, the link has been posted. So it's at moneyschoolrei.com/July-event. That's the right link. So you'll learn a ton more information. It's basically July 30th, 31st with special VIP access on the 29th also. And that's going to be a really big piece to it. So we're very limited with VIP though. So if you can get a VIP, if you want VIP, get it in as soon as possible. The rest are just general admission for the 30th and 31st. But you basically get a panel of industry leading experts talking about basically building up your all-weather portfolio with what's coming in the markets right now. The economy, it's the instability of that and kind of the unexpected storm that the expected storm that we're going to get here. It's going to be a lot of experts basically guiding you on that all-weather portfolio to build up that foundation and protect you against whatever may come. So check out the link. There's more information there. Anything else you guys want to add about that?
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever been through a past change in the markets, like 2008, 2000, you can go back in history, and that's about as far back as I go. But if you've ever been through a change in markets where we have a crash or we have a drastic, like right now with inflation running through the roof and everything that the Fed's been doing, the bubble's been blown up. Like it's insane what's happened for the last decade and especially the last couple of years. And so we're going to see a lot of, for better words, shit hitting the fan here pretty soon. Right. So if you've ever seen that before, or you've ever heard people say, when there's blood in the streets, it's when you can get in and really make a lot of money. And if you've ever wanted to be able to really create generational wealth for your family and put yourself on a financial track moving forward. I mean, this event you're going to want to be at in July, because first off, you have to be prepared for what's coming to not lose money. But I don't even want to talk about that. I want to talk about how to make a lot of money. And so when prices come down, and we're going to see a crash in a lot of the markets, we're going to see a crash in a lot of different industries, and you need to be prepared for that. So if you've ever wanted to be able to take advantage and set you and your family up, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, whether it's crypto, whether it's more passive stuff, this event is going to teach you exactly how to do that and put you in a position where you'll be prepared for what comes in the next year or two. And you're going to be able to ready to take action and make a lot of money on it. And that's the bottom line. I mean, you're going to surround yourself with people. You're going to build these relationships. That's all great. You're going to learn a lot. That's all awesome. But if you really want to put yourself on a track for financial success and make a lot of money, then this event is the place to be. I mean, I was talking to Larry this morning about it, and Larry Steinhaus, and he's going to be there. And we were just talking about some of the different strategies and things we were using back in like 2009, 2010 after the last real estate collapse. And we're getting ready to do that again coming up. And that's how you really just change your future forever. And that's what this event is all about. I don't want to, oversell it like that, but it's true. I mean, you got to be there if you've ever wanted to put yourself in a position like that.
We're getting around a bunch of like-minded people who are going to help you level up. And I think that's the big thing as well. Like Steven's saying, there is a shitstorm coming, and being prepared right now is the best thing to do. If anything starts coming, you think you're going to lose a job or there's some other financial shitstorm coming, the best thing to do is to get around experts who have been through something similar to this, or who can show you the skills necessary to be able to level up and weather the storm. Because it's definitely possible to weather the storm. I know there's all kinds of doomsday sayers going, oh my God, we lost money in the stock market, or everyone is screwed. Not really. There's techniques that may not necessarily be common knowledge that these folks can spread with you to help, because I know a good number of them have weathered pretty bad storms, and they're going to show that experience for you too. So yeah, it's absolutely worth it. As I said on the thing this morning, or said on WTF this morning, we promise it won't snow here in Buffalo. Buffalo is actually a very nice city. If you love architecture, we're really the city to be in. A lot of our architecture is beautiful. But yeah, it's going to be a great event. We're going to have it here in the near our facility, so it'll be right around the corner. The event center that they have this at is actually beautiful. It was just remodeled a couple of years ago, so it's actually not all that old. Yeah, it's going to be a great event. So I would strongly recommend that you folks save your spot as much as you can. There's actually 3 different levels that we have right now. So the first level is just a virtual attendance. So if you can't make it out here to Buffalo, you're more than welcome to go for virtual only. You can also have a general admission. That's just to get you into the event live. We are only opening 80 tickets on that. So there's not too many that are, it's not going to be thousands of people. We don't have too many at the general level. The VIP is the good one though, because not only do you get general admission, we're all going to go to a baseball diamond here in Buffalo. We're going to go watch a baseball game. We have rented out a suite, and that suite is, 50s themed suite here. And so you can go see it. Yeah, you can go see our local AAA team. Sometimes the Blue Jays play. I'll have to see who's playing that day. Sometimes the Toronto Blue Jays will come down here and play, like during Corona, they came with us. So there's only 20 total tickets on that one. And how many left over at the VIP?
There's like 15 or so.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, book everything now. Book it, as you can. There are hotels in the area. There's actually 2 really nice extended suites, not even 3 miles up the road from us. So places that I've stayed that are actually really nice. So I would strongly recommend that too. So yeah, absolutely join us for this event. If you want to get around a bunch of like-minded people who are going to help you to weather the upcoming storm.
Cool. We do have a question that came in, Garrett. He said, outside of the reason the stock market can go down, what are the reasons not to use an IUL versus whole life for IBC?
I'll try to get this one too, because some of the stuff that I've seen with IUL. So the way IULs are designed, I have seen one. I'm usually the one that gets all of the IULs that people find like, hey, this person said an IUL is going to work for IBC. And I'm usually the one that gets them. There is one policy out of the hundreds that I've seen that has actually been designed to be very, very close to a whole life, but there's still a surrender charge in the first few months or first few years. Usually what happens with an IUL is you have a cash value, you have zero access to it at all. So usually in the first 2 or so years, it's zero. The third year, it might be like $1,000. You run into the same issue you would with a standard whole life policy. And so beyond just the stock market, you also tie up your money. You won't be able to use any of it. It just sits there. And then think about it. It's earning some interest, but if the stock market goes down, it's earning less than a whole life and you can't use the money. So those are the big major reasons why IULs are not the greatest idea for IBC. Yeah, again, we don't hate them. They're just not good at all for
I hate them and they suck and you should never buy one. So I'll argue that unless you're doing it unless you're lazy and you don't want to control your money and you just want it for retirement. Yeah, whatever. Go do a 401k and cross your fingers. The bottom line is IULs have increasing cost of insurance. They're expensive. Yes. They have a lot of fees involved with them to be in those indexes. The market's going to crash. It's going to come down. You're not going to have access to your money for several years. The whole idea is put in money in the IBC policies, put it in, and immediately the next day, pull it right back out and use it right away. Build a high cash value policy, control your money, and take advantage of uninterrupted compounding growth. I mean, most IUL companies are not going to give you uninterrupted compounding growth. You're going to have to collateralize it and go back to using banks. Well, what if interest rates shoot up and now you're paying 7-8% for the money? There's so many different reasons why IULs should never be used for infinite banking, 1000%. But there's so many reasons why you should just never buy an IUL, period. And that's my opinion. I wish I could sell them and I wish I believed in them and I wish I owned one myself because they pay a ton of commission. I would make a lot more money if I could sell IULs because I'm a pretty good salesperson if I want to be, right, Andrew? And so, and so that's just a joke, but, and so the bottom line is if I was a scrupulous person that didn't really care about the client, I could sell the shit out of IULs and make a ton of money because you can make them look very, very good. from experience, from talking to people that have had IULs for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they never, ever perform, even the way that they were sold that they were going to perform. These people have negative cash values where the policies are going to lapse if they don't put a bunch of more money into them. And it's craziness. So be careful. If you guys, we've done several videos over the last 6 months on IULs and using it for IBC versus whole life, things like that. I'm happy to send you those videos so you can check them out, read a little bit more about it yourself. I'll put my email in the chat box. You guys send me an email and I'll just reply back with those videos so you can check all those out. But don't take the bait. Don't get sold on this thing. It's not going to turn out well for you in the long run, especially if you want to control your money and do infinite banking.
Yeah.
And yes, Eileen, it is Index Universal Life is what IUL stands for.
Correct. Yeah. And again, I've seen IULs that were supposed to be designed for IBC and they still do not work anywhere near as well as a whole life. So it's not us just saying it. I've dug in. I kind of wanted to like IULs and still just could not find a way to make it work for IBC at all. Yep. So yeah, there's a ton of videos as well on Chris Nagel's website or Chris Nagel's YouTube site. If you want to go in and take a look at it, we have definitely rehashed this a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can. I know Steven will send those to you. You can even go to YouTube, the Chris Nagel, and just search in the search bar IUL, and a bunch of them will come up.
Sure.
Okay, Candace says, is it better to start a self-directed IRA or a 401k at this time?
So I kind of know what Steven's going to say, but I would start with this one. I would do self-directed IRA all the way.
Well, are we talking brand new?
They're two separate things too. I mean,
yeah, they are separate. Well, yeah, the one thing with the 401k, from my opinion, small business owner, I would maybe do a solo K, like a solo 401k, because the contribution limits are significantly higher. But I mean, if you're a person who doesn't own a company, I would err towards SDIRA because I have more control over it and there's less fees involved. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're asking two different questions. I mean, are you starting an individual retirement account or are you starting a 401k at your job? Yeah. So if they want to respond to that, I can give an answer.
Yeah, I would say just the way that I'm kind of looking at it was just as the question was, it better start an SDIRA or 401k. There's more involved with that question, but that's good. If I had A or B, I mean, I'd pick A. I don't know. What do you think?
Can there be a C? Can there be a C with the Money Multiplier?
Well, there you go.
Because that could work too. Each for different reasons, though. I mean, I know Stephen will tell you the advantages of the self-directed and, reasons to do one over another. But there's also the option of doing. Oh, okay. She says she has an IRA right now and she's losing money, and she has the option to start a 401k.
401ks have a lot of fees, though. That's the thing, and they're not very straightforward. Actually, the guy that created the 401k,
I think she's saying she has an option of starting one at her job. There's no fee at your job. I mean, she's not talking about a solo K for her company.
Got it.
But if your IRA is losing money, then yeah, you want to move that over to a self-directed to control the money and put it into investments that are going to make money and not just be tied to the indexes, because the market will come down, in my opinion. And if you're going to start a 401k, what is the match? Maybe put into what the match is considered, kind of technically free money. I mean, keep it in conservative stuff right now if you're going to go that route. I mean, it just depends kind of overall what you're trying to do. It's just a little bit more to that, Andrew?
Yeah, there absolutely is. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not quite as simple as it sounds, like, especially with you have contribution limits. I'm 45, so I wouldn't really start an IRA at this point because $5,500 a year until my retirement age is going to do me exactly nothing. I mean, I might have 30,000 and that's it. Solo K might be a good idea because I could put in 60,000 a year. So there's a bunch of different options in there. I figured they'll just kind of whatever the question said immediately, what would we do with that? But it's probably a better idea to have a chat with one of us and kind of look through some of the specifics, Candace, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Tracy's got a question. She says, when you take out a loan from the whole life policy, can you use the money for monthly bills, investments, and explain the benefits? So
can you? Yes. Should you is a different question. I mean, my opinion on it, as far as infinite banking, I necessarily don't. I mean, and I think Chris goes in the same direction. We don't really say, don't use it for monthly bills yet. There's better ways to make that money. Invest it, use the money you're making from it to then pay your bills. I think it's a little bit more efficient that way. Investments, yes. So like real estate, that sort of thing from your infinite banking, absolutely the best way to use it. But then, what I mean by the bills, take your money, lend it out on a real estate deal, use your interest payments from your real estate deal, that pays your monthly bill. So if you want to pay it through an infinite banking policy, it's probably the most efficient way to use it. I know Nash says that use it to pay all of your bills, but he also got to the point where almost all of his income went into the whole life policies. And that takes about 20 years based on his book, kind of what he said in it. So I don't know,
so definitely
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, not definitely not in the beginning of the policy, especially while you're trying to capitalize on the premium, the cash value that you put in there. So you're just trying to maximize every dollar that you put in. If you're putting it to a monthly bill, what do you get out of that? So eventually, like Andrew said, but at the beginning, try to get some your money working for you harder before you kind of add in the monthly bills.
Yeah. Actually, Chris and I just did this in Daytona, where we did a thing on how to buy a car. And so he bought a new Maserati. He had the $94,000 ready to be able to pay for it. But what he did is loaned that out at a higher interest rate than he was paying for the car, lent it out at a higher interest rate, had that monthly payment. That monthly payment made his car payment. That's how you use the infinite banking to pay off like monthly bills and stuff like that. Yeah, groceries, fun things. Kind of keep that money moving and it's perpetual.
Yep. Just realized our wallpaper is still like, wait a minute, I'm not on that show.
I actually, let's do this one. There we go.
Kind of fitting for right now, though. Now, like what the F are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
so
right.
Tracy, sorry, Tracy is a gentleman, and so a great use for the whole life policy is for investing, especially anything that can provide returns to you, like private. And that's why we talk a lot about private money lending, and a lot of people will run money from their policies through the private money club, because basically you're working off the spread that way. So you have your money in your policy compounding uninterrupted tax-free growth, but you're pulling it out. Now, when you pull the money out, you're paying the insurance company, let's say 4% to use the money. So if you're lending it at 12%, you're making that 8% spread while the money's still compounding. So that 8% spread is going to basically be your profit from that. And so just think of it as a spread when you're looking at investments. That's really the best use for a whole life policy, in my opinion. Things like real estate are great too. Those kinds of investments. So yeah.
I was
sorry, Tracy.
I was like the back. So think about a special savings account where I get a hell of a lot more interest on it, but I can use the money and still gain interest and dividends on the entire amount, right. And then being able to lend it out. Think about it kind of like that, where I want to keep that money moving around as much as I can. So, yeah. Cool.
Here we go.
Getting a lot of retirement account questions today. It's a good one.
Stephen, it's your day to shine.
Yeah.
So yeah, Garrett works for a large company, has an employer match, a 401k up to 6%. Should he put the amount into the match and then the rest into an IBC policy, or max out his 401k and then go to IBC?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would 100% tell you to just get the match from the employer and don't put in $1 more. When you look at the end of the day, when you look at a 401k, you're giving up control of that money. So you're putting money in to get a tax break now to then pay taxes later in retirement. But let me ask you, do you think that taxes will be more or less? And you look pretty young in that picture. So do you think that taxes will be more or less in the next 25 years?
Yeah. And
I can pretty much guarantee you they'll be higher. I mean, there's no way that we're going to dig ourselves out of 30-some trillion dollars in national debt and everything else that this administration especially is trying to do right now. And so the only way we're going to ever pay for any of that is just to tax the hell out of the next generation. And so, why are we putting our money into something? A, you have no control of it. If you want to pull the money out to go buy a home, you want to pull the money out for, it looks like you have a beautiful child there to pay for their college education. If you want to pull the money out just to go on whatever, right? You're going to pay a 10% penalty right off the top, plus whatever the tax rate is at that time. So, while 401ks can be okay for some people, that they're not the best vehicle for savings. So you'll find out, especially as you get more and more into infinite banking, Garrett, you're going to learn, how much more powerful this concept can be, especially when you start coupling that with learning a little bit about investing, things like real estate and private lending and whatnot. So, definitely look at, definitely think about all that. But, up to the 6% match. If you're going to put into a 401k, I would definitely never go higher than what the match is. The match is nice because it's kind of free money, but again, all those other factors do come into play with it as well. But if you're going to do it, just go to that match and no higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He commented into
That's cool, Garrett. So most 401ks don't allow that. I know Fidelity just came out where they're going to start allowing the crypto investments and things like that. So find out if it is complete control. Ask them, say, hey, I'd like to use my 401k to go buy a rental property, to go buy a house. And, not a REIT, not a real estate investment trust, not a fund or anything like that, an actual house. Like just pick a house that's for sale and say, I want to use my 401k to purchase this home, and see what they say to you. And I will almost bet they're going to tell you no. What they mean by complete control is you can pick maybe indexes. You might be able to pick individual stocks with it. Usually you can't in a 401k. I'd be surprised if you could even invest in individual stocks. But if you can, that's great. But ask them about the house. I'm just curious. And if you don't mind, report back. I'd love to know that.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
So just stocks. Okay. Yeah. So the difference in that, Garrett, is like a self-directed IRA that you hear us talk about, a self-directed solo K. You can literally buy everything. So you can buy houses, you can buy businesses. I mean, you can invest in almost anything outside of like collectibles. So that's great. You can at least do individual stocks because that way you can at least control your money in the stock market and kind of play around with that a little bit. But again, it's not complete control.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'll leave a couple more minutes if anybody has any last questions. We're actually going to probably wrap up a little early today. So if you guys have any more questions, get them in now so we can review them before we jump off. Any last comments on anything so far, guys, while we kind of give people a little bit extra chance to put in some more questions?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think of stuff, but next week, I think we'll see what happens. We're all going to be some of us will be traveling next week. I don't know if you guys are still going to hop on here. But the webinars next week look a little bit different. But outside of that, no, I mean, it's, I think we're off to a good start to the summer right now. I always consider June kind of summer, right? When the kids are out of school and stuff like that. It's off to a good summer. I'm looking forward to that event in Buffalo in July and come up there and hang out with you guys for a few days. And hopefully some other people are joining us up there. The thing's been scrolling across the bottom of the screen the whole time. So you guys go buy your tickets, figure out the travel later, but get those tickets bought and purchased. Outside of that, no, just let us know if you need anything, shoot us an email, a text message, schedule a call. We're here for you. Definitely crazy stuff going on right now. So make sure you're controlling that money and let's get it rocking. Looks like we got one more question.
And a quick thing to say about the event in Buffalo here. I just want to tie up one more thing on it. So if you think about this though, so how much money would you pay for a mastermind? I mean, Stephen, how much have you paid? 4,000 or 5,000, or sometimes what these things are when you get a whole bunch of people.
The one I went to in Tampa last month is 60,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last one we went to, I think Secret Knock is down to under 2,000 at this point, but it's barely close to 2,000. I've been to others that were 5,000. Our mastermind, the general admission, just the basic one, is $300. The VIP is 1,000. So you're not going to get that kind of value very often at all. I mean, so it's really quite worth it to be here and to be around a bunch of people for something that's not going to be as expensive as maybe some other masterminds that you go to and still get the same amount of value from it. So I guess there's that as well, too. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Facebook user says, I started IBC last October with about $30,000 in premium. He or she has $27,000 in cash value. They have 2 kids going to college in the fall. Thoughts on taking Parent Plus loans and giving their cash value time to grow and then paying off the PP loans with cash value, or use the cash value right away?
Use the cash value right away.
Yeah.
Don't take out any extra loans. Just use it right away. You're still earning interest and dividends on the cash value, even though you're using it. So I absolutely would not take out any additional, pay as much as you can from the cash value. Yep.
Agreed. Yep. Same here.
Well, what's the interest rate on the loan?
Well, even with that though, you're still earning more than you're paying on the loan. And so I think that's, so I get where you're coming from, Stephen. We're in such a weird situation right now where, interest rates are super low, but even still, if you borrow from your own bank. Yeah. even if there's zero, like you have a 0% loan that you'd be taking for your college, you'd still do better with the cash value because you're earning something on it.
I think the argument where he's giving his cash value time to grow, I mean, your cash value is going to grow regardless whether you use it or not. So,
Right.
you know, if that's kind of what you're hoping for, that it'll grow more if you don't use it, then, you know, then there might be a misunderstanding. It grows regardless of whether you use it or not. So use it if you want to. You know, like Steven said, if interest rate makes sense and you can put it somewhere else and have it grow somewhere else, but if it's just sitting there, I would just use it.
I used to get this question a lot when I was on mapping. I used to get a lot of this question of, let me just make this grow so I can pay the whole thing off. I would rather have you pay half of it off now with the cash value rather than wait to pay the whole thing off. The only time I tell people to wait until the cash value builds is if you know that you only have 20,000 in cash value and you're going to put 50,000 down on a house. That's one of the few times I do it, but frankly, still, it's just better to use to get your money out of the bank's hands and pay the interest back to yourself as quickly as humanly possible. So yeah, try to use the cash value as much as you possibly can.
Okay, Matt, he says, I watched the IUL versus whole life video and he went into the 90-10 policies. He showed two illustrations comparing 90-10 to 60-40. In year 16, both dropped, but 90-10 at 3,000 netted 30,000 versus 60-40, 35,000 and 12,000.
Actually, so yeah, we have a couple of, I have another video that's going to come out on IULs that's going to answer this exact question. So we're going to, yeah, we're going to put something else on it. And I'm working on a project right now with Chris to show these specific questions. But do you guys have anything?
So he's basically at why isn't the 3,000 on the 90-10 better than 12,000 on 60-40? It seems 3,000 worked harder. There's a lot more that goes into it. I know one of the factors is the death benefit, you know, and the 90-10s are considered more like an investment. So the 60-40 is not. But with the 90-10, you get a lot more death benefit, and that's basically cutting off your ability to have more policies. You know, you're not going to be able to put a lot more into that. The 60-40, again, a lot of people focus on the numbers. It's really tough to get them away from the numbers because that's what people are so focused on when it comes to money. But we're doing a process here, and the process works much, much, much better at the 60-40 level. But like Andrew said, these videos, we've done this all, you know, I don't know what the video is that's coming out, but I'm always excited to see these comparisons, and a lot of people will try to sell you that 90-10 for the product, and that's just not what we do. It's just not going to be the best thing for you.
And the 90-10s, I saw there's one policy that I'm using as an illustration. It's a $30,000 a year policy. And so, Matt, I just want to say this is a very valid question because the 90-10s do look better on paper, but there's a lot of reasons we don't use them. So for the 90-10 policies, I had a $30,000 a year policy on, I think it was a 39-year-old man. And we tried to put $500 dump into it, and it mech'd the policy. We couldn't physically do it. And there was another policy that we had that was also done as a 90-10 where we were trying to do something similar, and it completely it did mech the policy, and it violated the insurance company's rules on how much paid up addition we can do. So when you do a 90-10, you do end up with a lot of issues with paid up addition and how much you can put in. So there's a lot of different reasons why we don't use 90-10. Our Nelson Nash Institute does not recommend 90-10. You know, so there's the reason for it. Although they look better on paper, there's a lot of other issues that we get into with them.
Yeah, they not only don't recommend 90-10s, they explicitly say not to use 90-10s, and 90-10 is not an IBC type policy. So, yeah.
But it's one of those things similar to an IUL where sometimes the numbers look better and sometimes it might look like a better idea, but no, in general, it is not. Nope. Yeah.
Okay, Carolina, is it a good idea to run your mortgage payment through the policy before paying the mortgage?
Not really.
Kind of sort of answered this type of question, more about the back to the expenses type question we had earlier.
Frankly, from after you've used the policy mapping team side of things, I would rather just have you pay a bulk down towards the principal on the mortgage. You'll get a lot more bang for your buck out of your payments. Don't put the payments through and then do it. Take your money from your cash value, put it to the principal on your mortgage, and then continue to make those payments. If you don't have enough cash value to pay off the whole mortgage, you'll get a lot more bang for your buck out of it.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is, you know, it takes a few years for a policy to become efficient to where it's really, you know, compounding and growing for you. So if you've had a banking policy for 10, 12, 15 years and you've built multiple policies and an entire system around yourself and you're running a lot of your income through these policies, then absolutely you're going to pay a lot of your expenses, things like mortgages, with the policy, because you have the banking system that's large enough to be able to do that kind of thing with it. But when it's new, like if this is a new policy within the last few years, then what Andrew's saying is 100% spot on. There's always a better use of a policy, right? So so can you do it? Yeah. I mean, is there better uses for it though? Absolutely. And that's something, you can definitely talk with your mapping agent about, and the pros and cons of going either way with that. But, not to say you don't ever want to do that, but upfront, yeah, probably not a good idea right now. Yeah. If it's new.
I mean, is it a terrible idea to pay your mortgage payment through the policy and then pay your mortgage payment? No, it's just not the most efficient way to use it. There's much better ways to do it, because every single mortgage payment you make, part of that is principal, part of that is interest. The interest goes down, principal goes up. The principal portion goes up, interest portion goes down. If I were to take my cash value, whatever it happens to be, I don't care if it's $5,000 on a $300,000 mortgage, anything I can put towards that mortgage will reduce the amount of interest, the total amount of interest. And that's not a small amount. Over the course of a mortgage, it's not a small effect. So if you're really early on your mortgage, let's say you're in the first 5 or 6 years and you put $5,000 down, I think in the future, it's like putting $35,000 down in year 20. So there's a huge amplification effect in it too. But so that's why putting it down towards the principal is much, much better. Yep.
Fumi's asking, where do you see what design your policy is?
Easy one. So take a look at your illustration. Depending on your company, it's going to depend on where this page is. Sometimes it's after your table, sometimes it's before. It breaks down what your premium is and where your premium goes. Base premium, paid up additions. One of our companies calls it LISR, LASR, or ALIR. Sometimes it comes out. What you do is you look at the total premium, how much goes towards base, and that'll be your 10 in 90-10 or 40 in 60-40, and you can calculate from there. Usually we can look at the numbers and tell you what it is just based on that formula, but it'll be in your illustration. Your mapping person can help you look at it too if you're one of our folks.
And then I think we should end with Dexter's comment. That's a great comment, Dexter. He's the owner of a few policies that have helped him so far. What he wanted to add was when he went to the last event in Daytona Beach from California, he met another wholesaler like himself, part-time, which they just closed a deal that paid for his long trip across the U.S. So in closing, he's sure he will meet other like-minded people and learn more strategies to be ready for what we know is here. I'll be seeing Buffalo for the first time. Who's joining us?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what these masterminds are. That's what these are designed for. And I know Stephen goes to some, I go to some, Chris goes to some. We do them because I have met some really, really good friends at these, but I've met some really good business associates, and I've met some people that I never would have met in my daily life. And I wouldn't have met unless I had gone to these masterminds. And people that have really helped me level up just in life, in business, in a lot of different ways, and people that I can call on if I need an expert. So that's the nice part about masterminds is you're getting around these people, you're building your network. Your network is your net worth, and you're helping yourself to get around people that you may not have in everyday life. And that's really what's the best about these sorts of masterminds and these things, and learning from experts too.
Yeah, and this group in particular, I'm a little bit biased, I think, but I think they're a really particularly inspiring group. So
yes, absolutely.
You'd be missing out if you didn't go.
We have a group of amazing people in our tribe, and I really appreciate every single one of you.
Cool. All right, that's a wrap, guys.
Awesome. Sounds really great. I will see you guys next week. Let's see if possibly I can effing play the right video. Wait, stream the intro. So this is why it happens. There's StreamYard intro, and that's all it says. So that's why I kind of keep messing it up. Sorry, let's see this one. That's better.
See you guys.
Bye.